Welcome to the Referrals Podcast, the show designed to help everyone from the solopreneur to the Fortune 500 company win the referral game. If you want to build a company with an army of ambassadors and raving fans who speak highly of you and refer you willingly, you are in the right place. Let's meet your hosts, Chris Angel and Michael Maher.
Hey everybody, this is Michael J. Maher. Welcome back to the Referrals Podcast. Holy cow, Referrals Podcast here every week. Every week you're getting a little dose of the Referrals Podcast and hopefully implementing and getting referrals. That's the beauty. That's why we do this. People all the time are like, this is the best free stuff on referrals I've ever seen. And that's really what we want to provide every single week. And I'll tell you what, I'm very, very excited about today. We have a phenomenal combo with us today and acting as the guest co-host. Come on now. By popular demand, we had to bring her back. And she is my partner in crime today. And welcome, Tara Carter from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. South Florida's finest from Great Florida Home. Tara, guest co-host. Woohoo!
Hi, thank you for flamingling with me. And I'm excited to flamingo with Laurie today.
Yay. Well, thank you for being here. And without further ado, we need to introduce our guest who is here today from Minnesota. It's Laurie Knudson, or What's New with Knudson. It's Laurie Knudson in the house from Minnesota, and she is here to share her story, give you great referral advice. Laurie, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I am so happy to be here. It's a privilege.
It's in your voice. You literally are happy to be here, right? I mean, sometimes like you see a speaker go up to the stage and they're like, I'm so excited to be here. I'm so excited to speak to you today. It's like, hey, tell your face.
No, I am totally on fire to be here today.
Yeah.
I can feel it.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, and she has such an interesting story, and I can't wait to. What's interesting is one of the commonalities is that, you know, Tara's story starts with a book club. And what's interesting is your story starts with a book club as well. So roll into that a little bit of how did you get introduced to, you know what, I'm going to build my business this 7L way, this referral way.
Yeah, well, I had the very good friend of mine, Carla Pierskella, invite me to a book club, actually to come see you speak. And so I was at that first group in kind of the northern tier of Minneapolis. You were at a hotel and I went to see you speak. So I started to read your book prior to that. And then I was all into her book club. I had been in the business about 24 years prior to reading that book and did the handle objections, close, handle objections. And then I read your book and I was in tandem reading The Miracle Morning. And I just went, I've been doing it wrong the whole time. And I just went, this is how I want to do my business. I want to come from more of a relational aspect. And I just want to come from contribution. And I threw everything else away. I had other coaches, we'll just rename nameless. And I just kind of dove right into 7L. And what I think is most profound is not only did it change my business, it changed my life. So I couldn't not talk about it then. So
wow, and that's our episode today. We would like to just express our appreciation to Laurie. That is like wow. That's like I mean, you can't even cue this stuff up.
I know, right?
So
it was impactful, yeah, for sure.
Real bumps for everybody. So Tara, you have a similar story. I mean, what's funny is it's the book club
it's almost
and it's the Miracle Morning combo, right?
Yeah, it's fascinating how those little things. I mean, this in the systems like the book, you would agree, right, Laurie, that it's simple. The book for Miracle Morning and the systems that they give you and the 7 levels. I mean, it's just a story. It's not even like here's step 1 and here's what you should do. It's a story.
I was getting things in my head that I didn't know you put there. Like it was so sublime. It was the second reading and the third time was actually in the book study. Then the book club was more powerful than the first by far. And then I kind of went, oh man, he dribbled that in there and I didn't even see it. So
no way. You mean the second time you read it, you got something out of it?
So the third time was even more. When I started hosting the book clubs, then I really became in tune with it. I feel like finally got it. And so, but it was never a hardship. It was just easily accepting into my heart. And I was coming from a place that I wanted to be. And I felt like my whole business changed because of that. And then I also took that step towards coaching and speaking. So
Now
that,
let's talk about that, right? So
yeah.
you've been coaching for 10 years and you've been coaching kind of a, a question-based, needs-based, needs analysis, overcome objections, close, overcome objections, right? And so, what did you see? And you're in the real estate industry. We always need to preface that, early in this whole thing, we never, everybody assumed it was real estate, but now we blossomed out to nearly every profession out there. And so what are the biggest challenges that maybe specifically real estate agents are having, or what are the biggest challenges for business owners in general that you've discovered through your 10 years?
I do coach some non-realtors, and I really enjoy that part of it. And because their hardship, their challenges are really the same. And that is that we learn how to do the business. Like I teach pre-education or pre-licensing for real estate now too. And so you get this license and you have this much knowledge, but they forgot to tell you that there's this whole other piece that nobody touches on, and that is how to build your business and how to work within your business. So there's obviously that difference of working in your business and working on your business. But what I didn't realize, and I think that when I work with these other entrepreneurs, they don't understand that it's really, if you just go back to human nature, and they're missing that commonality of relationships and doing good things for others. For instance, I encourage them to go have coffees and they stack their appointments and just ask their people about what is happening in their life and find an opportunity to help them. And as soon as we understand that they're going through a re-roofing of their house, or they're going to go through a remodel, that we have what I call Laurie's list. It's one of my vendor classes that I talk on, that we have that list we can send out to them and just start helping them. And so it doesn't matter. I have somebody who's a broker and somebody who's an insurance person, and I coach those people the same. It's about getting in front of them, having a reason to call them, that I guess getting yourself out of the way. Like, don't make yourself into be such a big deal that it has to be about you. Make it about them. And all of a sudden just the shoulders drop and they get a sense of freedom, knowing that they can just come to people because they can help people. I guess the word help, they're wondering how to help, and they don't realize it's just all about asking what they can help them do.
Tell us a little bit more about Laurie's list.
So it's just a Word doc a template that I downloaded from Microsoft Word, and it's called a community directory, but I flipped it around and made it a list of vendors that I work with within the community. And because I'm kind of a lakeshore specialist, I have docks and lifts people, boat people. I actually have some DNR, like lake testing people on there too. But it's more than that too. It's about who's the local garage door expert, who's the plumbing people that I recommend. And I vet all these people out, which gives me a good reason to have coffee with them and keep them in my events that I invite people to. So I'm not just giving out names. I'm actually trying to build their business too. They then in turn recommend me, and they're just tickled to be on that list. I don't charge anything to be on my list. I've been told that I could. I publish it up onto a link that I can just send people to, so it's not always about printing. But sometimes I'll just write it in my handwritten note and say, I just wanted to send you these 3 referrals or 2 referrals, depending on how many people I have. And then people start calling me to get on the list. So it's just this coming from giving, and then all of a sudden it's coming back to you. And when I tell people that when I speak now, it's because they're like, oh, what are you doing? You're speaking now, you're teaching. And I'm like, I'm super passionate about what I'm speaking about. So then all of a sudden their facial expression changes, and they understand me more as a realtor in addition to just this speaker coach. It just transcends is all I can explain it with.
Yeah.
So Laurie, let me ask you, when you have your Laurie's list, do you have more than one vendor? Or do you have a limit of how many people could be under one category?
I don't. Nope. It's coming to me as a recommendation based on the list that's already out there. And if they have a good experience with somebody, they send it to me, and then I contact that vendor and I ask to meet with them. And sometimes, granted, it's only by phone because they don't have time, but my goal is to get with them with a one-on-one and really build that relationship with them so they know who I am and whose list they're on. And it could be called anything. Laurie's list kind of stuck. I'm not.
No, I tried to call it Laurie's list. Nobody had any clue what I was talking about. I had to change it to Stellar Sellers, and you deserve 5-star service, so we call it Stellar Seller. But the Stellar Sellers and the Laurie's list and that kind of thing, I mean, having that in one place, just that one concept is a great concept. There's people that people refer out to all the time, but it's in their phone or it's disjointed. Whereas you have it concentrated in one place, you can access it in 5 seconds, and you're not just giving one name. So if somebody needs a pool cleaner, down the road, they might need a pool repairman or a pool maintenance person,
right,
or whatever it may be. So or a landscaper. So you have this list that's holistic. You give more value than just the name and the person, and it blossoms from there. The other thing that you snuck in there is that, they don't pay for being on the list, and that's a good thing. Maybe, I mean, you could easily charge to be on the list.
I could, yeah.
But they kind of do. They're charged with, they better do good service, and B is that they're also partners in your events where they help sponsor it and contribute door prizes. Yes.
Yes, they do. And they are always reminding me to make sure and reach out to them at their next event. And they cannot show up with just business cards at those events. They have to kind of play in the event and participate and build relationships. I know I saw on your event mastery page recently, somebody fired somebody. And that's exactly what I tell them is, you're going to be fired if you just come at this like your business cards are getting handed out. So
that's the worst. That can ruin a good event faster than anybody.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody's a taker, or they're like, man, I paid $500 to be a part of this event, I better get something out of it. That is the power of, utilizing that door prize entry form and the referral system of the door prize entry form system, is that, they're going to get theirs, and they've just got to be patient enough to just be human for 2 hours. Just be human. Just enjoy. Right. Like, if you can't control yourself, go paint a pumpkin in the corner, because otherwise you're going to get fired, not just by me, but from all the people in the future that we're going to run into. So, it's a great lesson for people. So Tara, you had something to add to that too.
Yeah. So I'm just curious that let's say that you had 2 vendors, or if you've had this happen, or if you did have it happen, if you have 2 vendors that both want to be a part of your event and they happen to be in the same category, like 2 title people or 2 pool repairs companies, how do you handle that?
I have at least 4 events. Anybody who coaches with me I have a standard of coaching that they have to have 4 events. We are doing a group event right now. Some of the items are behind me, but if they don't do the group one, they have to do one of their own. Some do a brewery wine tasting or beer, coffee thing. So I will rotate those vendors around into the different events per year. So they're not always going to be the one that's fall, winter, spring. Like, I'll rotate that in if that's an issue.
So you won't have them at the same event.
I don't want to have 2 at the same event.
It's hard to champion and endorse them at the door prize entry part.
And I want them to feel special. I want them to build those relationships as the deck builder or whatever they are. I know our carpet cleaner one just really wants to just get to know people, and he's great. So if he's my only one, then obviously he's going to get the invite more often, but it's kind of a no-brainer. So what I like about it is when I'm coaching people, business or real estate, they all have the ability to make these lists. And that's one of the first things they tend to jump on.
Yeah. I love the combination of the Laurie's list with how you're using it with the events and getting them more involved. Maybe even the next step, and I don't know if you've done this, maybe you have, but an idea that we've implemented is having these, teaching them how to get referrals, like a how to get referrals class for Laurie's list participants. And you can actually create the standards for being on Laurie's list. You can teach them how to get referrals with events, and then you know, you go, hey, listen, if you can do this on your own, do your own events, but I do my own events, and all you have to do is participate a little bit with some investment versus having to spend all the time, energy, effort, and money to create the event. So there is that option too, and I'd love to talk to you more about that, you know. So it's like a win, you know, win.
You just gave me a great idea of using that. Hello, I do that naturally when I meet up with people, like a lender, and I just start going into, oh, well, you should do this, and you should throw a nail party and a manicure, because then all the realtors are stuck in chairs, and they have to talk to you, and you should just, you know, and I naturally do that. How cool would that be if you actually took the systems that we already know and host something outside of real estate, because really your systems have nothing to do about real estate,
Right.
and do like a how to get referrals for our sphere of influence or our vendors. I love that.
100%. And then invite them to be a part of your event. You're going to teach them the combo of the one-to-one or one-on-one, which is the 7L, and then the one-to-many, which is the events. And you teach them that combination, and then you invite them to just do it with you versus them having to reinvent the wheel. And you're also coming from a place of credibility and leadership because you're the one teaching the class.
Correct.
And you can charge them for it.
Yeah, Stephanie Havel and I, she's one of our local 7L trainers here as well. And she and I have talked about offering that, and it's just a matter of time, and I'm sure we will.
So when are you going to do it?
I think January.
So why January?
Middle of January or end of January?
So why January?
I think January 15th, because I'm gone otherwise.
You're out until January 15th?
Well, I have a little trip planned, and then I have a little surgery planned. So.
Yep. So I like January 15th. What day of the week is that? Do we know? January 15th.
That is a Wednesday.
I was going to say probably a Wednesday, knowing
How
me.
do you know that?
Because I have an event that my Keller Williams Young Professional South Florida relaunch I'm doing for January 14th, and that's a Tuesday.
Okay, so January 15th. What a great day. Wednesday is a great day to do this event. And I can't wait for you to invite your vendor. And here's the other thing. The reason I said why wait till January is because one of the best times to do this is October, November, and December. The fourth quarter, because people are making their plans and setting their budgets for the next year, and they can just make part of their budget your 4 events or your 3 events or your 7 events, depending on how many events you're doing. But January is just as good because there are people who don't make a budget and don't have a business plan. And all of a sudden, January 15th, you are showing them the plan. They are becoming part of your plan, and it's a win-win for everybody. So I love that. Love that. And I love your background, by the way. I just have to, we're going to have like a contest, like best backgrounds for podcast guests. It's like, so she's got action guy. You just have to watch it. Go to YouTube and see her background. And the first thing I think with Laurie's background is smooth selling, like smooth selling, not smooth sailing, but smooth selling. You're going to have to look at it. You're going to have to go to YouTube and actually watch this episode. So,
and you beat me with my pyramid in the background and my flamingos.
Over your left shoulder.
Totally
right?
beat me.
Left shoulder pyramid, right shoulder flamingo. There's something to it.
I actually sail competitively, and if one thing I do is go around and talk to people about how sailing actually taught me how to take a different tack. And
tell me that. So how did sailing teach you how to take a different tack?
Well, much to my husband's disappointment, there's no motor on the sailboat, so you have to look. So I kind of draw a diagram of where the start symbol is, and then the buoy that we're racing up to, and how everybody kind of leaves the starting line all in the same direction. Whoa, I just froze up there. And then, but the trick is you have to watch what's ahead of you coming at you to know where the wind is, i.e. the market. Wow. And you have to know where to shift or come about or move towards tack to catch the different wind that's coming. And you'll never beat your competitor if all you're doing is following them. You'll do well, but you won't actually beat them if you follow the same tack they're on. You do need to take a different tack and reach out to something new in order to get ahead of them. You have to tack away and try something different. Wow. So that's my,
that's a tack with impact right there.
Right. Of course, you would find something to rhyme with that. You're always so quick.
It's a tack attack, right? we got all kinds of things. So we should stack the tack. in some of our future things, back-to-back episodes. So I think that one great thing on that, like people say, how's the market? And it's like, well, the market is like the ocean, right? The market's like the ocean. I can't determine the ocean. I can't, cuss the ocean. All I can do is navigate the ocean.
Right.
All I can do is be the captain and navigate it. And I can't determine the ocean, but I can navigate on it. And that's the market. What I do is, I'm the captain navigating the market, and that's what I do. So the market is the market, depending on where you are and what you're doing, what's your interest in the market, that kind of thing. But so I mean, a lot of stuff there. Nothing like a great tangent to throw everybody off.
Well, Laurie, I have a quick question. So your coaching clients that you have currently, are they majority of people that are in your area and in your region that are in the same field of business that you're in?
I have about 30 agents that I coach locally in my marketplace. But then I have about a half a dozen that are out state, and some are not in real estate at all. So
Okay.
It requires, I guess, to get around that, I ask them a lot of questions. It's like playing 20 questions with me in the beginning. I have this little, I know we're going to get to it, but I have a 3-legged stool. I literally draw this on my notes as I'm talking to them, and we label it business. And as you know, one leg won't hold up a stool, so we need to have another one. Well, 2 still makes it very teetery. So you got to have at least 3rd, and it looks kind of ugly when I get done drawing. But the idea is I learn more about them, and I find out where they might not have even been looking, that they have resources for more business. And it could be through a hobby, some people that they might know, a second job that they have. I embrace that. Let's sell to all those people that you're working with. And again, I don't even like to use the word sell. I like to just come from a place of education and help people that you work with. So
with your coaching clients, you start with disc a lot. So yeah, and then we'll get into the stool, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So tell us how you, or why do you start? We talked about disc last week with Tara and how she used it. And one of the first things she implemented was the magic question, and implementing it listings and buyers and with the people she knew. How are you using it in your coaching and in your business?
Great question. The market center that I'm in, we have mandatorily that they take a disc assessment. So I get those results back. And it's interesting because when people take the disc, they don't really understand that what I'm going to talk to them about is not really about them, although we're going to learn about them. But it's more about, and you talk about this in your book, I'll draw this out. I know it's probably backwards, but I'll kind of pinpoint where their disc is.
It was perfect.
And then I draw a line through it, and I explain that you've got to sell to everybody like they're a D, interact with them like they're an I, give them the safety bubble that they need as an S, and give them lots of data like they're a C. And I do a little handshake with them prior to that whole line through it, and I give them a firm handshake, and they're like, and I say, guess what I am? And they'll say, you're a D. And then I reach out again, and I give them a really wimpy, soft handshake. Yeah, it grieves me out, and then they'll go, oh, and I'll say, that's somebody with a big bubble around them. They're going to have a high S. They're going to be really concerned about safety or maybe risk taking. And so it's in bringing that conversation in, I've heard over and over and over with my agents and just business people that I coach, that they approach their business differently now because they are giving everybody the middle level D. I had to bring my D way down, right, and my C up. Yeah. And so I'm careful of bringing in lots of details for people that need it. And it works so much better. So many more deals go together because I'm paying attention. I don't apologize for who I am, and I make everybody know that wherever they are on the disc, they're good. But it's about working within the disc that is where the magic happens.
Working by referral is not some fairy tale world. It's real. I've seen it. And you can too. Invest in yourself by learning how to run your business by referral at Michael's upcoming live event. It will be a day filled with hands-on, how-to, low to no-cost strategies that you can implement in your business right away. Learn how to run a business by referral that not only feeds your family, but feeds your soul. Go to www.gengenevents.com today. That's www.gengenevents.com.
So last episode, I actually asked Tara her magic question. I asked her the magic question, and we found out that she's social and outgoing and straight to the point, right? So she's an ID. And so let me just ask you, right? Out of the following 4 options, you can only choose one. How would your best friend, spouse, or significant other best describe you? Would they say you're 1, straight to the point, 2, social and outgoing, 3, steady and dependable, or are you 4, cautious and perfectly accurate?
Well, and you already know the answer because you put me into a table of 4s, but I'm a high I, high D, or a high 2 and high 1, just like Tara. There is no right or wrong to be a good business person, but what that told me is people will say I'm very influential, and I'm very outgoing, and I'm very decisive. So obviously my 2 and 1 come in, or my I and my D come in very high. But what I tell people, and this is so fun to see on the one that I use, I think I think it's People Keys. I tell people I'm a pretty low C, but in reality, I'm a lot higher C than I tell people. So I think that gives me a lot more confidence in where I'm going, is just to remind myself to not throw myself under the bus and say, well, I'm not a very high C. Mm-hmm. So I pay attention to that a little bit more, that in reality, I'll get it done, and it'll be done right, and it'll be done organized. So I don't know. It was just an interesting way to get in with people. Sorry, Tara.
No. You continue. So would you say, or would you agree that you've noticed, as the more you've been in the business and you gain experience, and you've already been 24 years in the business, would you say that you've noticed that your disc changes? Like sometimes your S has gone up, or your C has gone up just a little bit more the longer you've been in?
So I started the book club 4 years ago, and then now I've been in 28 years, and I've taken that disc a couple times. And so it's usually about the same, but one thing that did flip-flop a bit is the D and the I. And that's because I purposely, when I started to go after the coaching and training, I knew I had to be a better listener. And so I purposely started to give people more room to tell me what they need, and not just assume I knew with that high D what they needed. And so I saw that I go way high. So now it's almost to the top. It's 90 something. And it's not that I still don't give direction, because what happens in my coaching is after we're done, kind of doing an analysis of what their hobbies are, or their hot buttons, and what calls or stirs their soul for a charity, and we build in some ideas of events, I then go to work of kind of saying, what's our work that we're wanting to get ready for the next 2 weeks when we meet again? Mm-hmm. And so I'm very good at that. Teacher kind of kicks in. I used to be an elementary school teacher, and so that high D takes over. Yep. And I'm like, so we're going to go get this done, this done, this done, this done. How does that feel for you? Do you want to add anything or take anything away? But I kind of, that D still kicks in,
Yeah. So, listen, you're never going to be able to bury your D or bury your I. You are what you are, right? Mm-hmm. But what we do is we get really good at serving the person that we're with in the best way possible. We're going to communicate in the way that's best for them. We're not being inauthentic. We're actually being more authentic. We're helping them in any way they can, and meeting them where they are. A big part of service and authenticity is meet other people where they are, and you just grow to recognize and accept each other. And the problem with most people is the eyes work really well with the eyes. It's so fun, and it's like, oh, a patio, that means party, and then you've got the D's who work really well at the D's. You're going to buy it, right? Yep, done. Right. And then you've got the S's who work really well with the S's. We're driving around. It's like, man, she's like my best friend. And it's like, has she bought yet? No, but you know what? We're getting along so well. And she's having so much fun. I love her family and her kids, and and have you sold her anything yet? No, I think they're going to buy, but it's fun. And here's the thing. And then you've got the C's where it's like, is it 2,500 square feet? No, then we don't want to see it. Okay, good. It's all good. Or can I get more data, please? Yes, right. But the C's work really well with the C's. That's why an engineer that gets into real estate, one of the first things I had them brand is just like, I'm an engineer. I can work with engineers. And all of a sudden, the engineers are like, I want to work with her because she's going to get me. Whereas all these other salespeople are just going to try to close and steal and be friends. And that C doesn't want to be friends. They just want the data so they can make a decision, and they want to help make a decision. So what happens is that if you're an I and can only work with I's, you're limiting your clientele to 25% of the people in the world. You know,
Bingo.
if you're a D and work with D's, you're only working with 15% of the people. But if you are a ID or a DI or an SI or IS or IC, and you can actually work with everyone, then you're going to get far more availability for deals. You're going to close more people. You're going to have a lot less frustration, and you're going to have a lot more ambassadors. You're going to build your army of ambassadors with a variety of behavioral styles. And guess what? That's what you want. So.
For those
Right.
that are probably listening and wondering, okay, what is this DISC and D and I? So the only one that I'm aware of, besides the one that Keller Williams, my brokerage, gives, is the Tony Robbins free DISC assessment. Are you guys aware of any other one?
Yeah. So well, you said People Key, right? So there's that one. But Abelson, and in my estimation, listen, I get nothing from Dr. Michael Abelson. I truly believe he. This guy, like I do with referrals, he eats, sleeps the disc. And Dr. Michael Abelson has the Abelson disc, and it is the most thorough and comprehensive test I've ever seen. I will warn people a little bit about the Tony Robbins disc or some of these other, they're more like basic assessments, is that they're geared to create a conversation that leads to coaching. So it's geared a little bit more towards like revealing weaknesses, if you will. Whereas the Abelson is, here's how it is. It's very black and white. Abelson has no agenda other than creating the best disc test or disc assessment ever, right? So, and it's very inexpensive to take. And you're right. I mean, like, what is this disc thing? And it's just an assessment you take. And you answer the questions, and then it gives you feedback on, honestly, you're taking a test about yourself, so you should do pretty well, you know, and it ends up telling you, it explains a lot of reasons why there's certain things about your spouse that you absolutely get driven up a wall about. And it will tell you why your brothers and sisters got along or didn't get along the way they did. It'll explain why your mom was the way she was, and the reason your dad the way she was, and why certain people you really like and certain people you don't like. And then all of a sudden you're like, you know what? I should like everyone. Right? I really should. It's just that they're different. You know, they're geared differently. And you know, the D's are geared to go fast, and time is very important. The I's are geared to go pretty fast, but people are important. People are far more important than the task. And the S's, the team is important, the group dynamics. You know, S's are like the team mom. You know, a lot of cases that's that S personality, steady and dependable people. Slower paced, very caring. They are the best teammates ever because they're like, they want the whole team to get along, and they want everybody to be happy, and they'll do things they'll do almost anything to make that the case. And then you've got your C style, where what's most important to them is making the right decision. And so they are very data driven, very analytical, very, very cautious. They will not make a decision versus making a decision where they don't have all the right data. These are the engineers, the attorneys of the world. And you know what? They're the detail-oriented people that quite honestly save the rest of us from ourselves. So,
and they're usually the ones when they tell you they want to think about it, they mean it.
Yeah, and they're going to. And when they think about it, it means they're going to go to YouTube and look at 5,000 videos. They're going to look up the specs. Like, they're the ones that read the automobile manual that goes in your, like, I don't even know where mine is right now. Like, it could be in the glove compartment. It could be in the trunk. I don't know. But these people not only know where it is, they put it in a leather case.
Yeah.
You know, and they have highlighted several sentences in the, like, oh, that, you know, the rest of us, like the people on this, I can almost guarantee you, we have cars that we've had for 2 or 3 years. There are buttons. We still don't know what they do. Maybe not Laurie. Laurie knows.
Well,
Laurie
knows.
I'm married to an engineer.
So he taught you every button.
And my marriage, he'll laugh, so I'm not talking smack about it, but our marriage got better once I understood, and he read the 7L too. He read Miracle Morning. It went better when we understood, like he stopped trying to make me a DI.
Yeah.
And I stopped trying to make him other than a C. You know, he is a C. And the other thing is the phone. So now when I get those messages from what I think is a C and they're asking me for more details, I'm not irritated anymore because I understand their need. And I'm kind of almost going, I should have had that before they even asked me. So it helps. That's why I'm like, I lose less deals. I'm just more successful in that alone, that little nutshell of understanding how to work with everybody else. Because of who you are, it doesn't matter, but you're still going to work with everybody else. So rather than getting 25 or 50% of the deals, 100% are my target now. And that,
or 99%.
Or 99.
There's the 1% that are just jerks.
I probably, I don't.
Right. We don't want to work with them anyway.
Yeah.
So you would say that by knowing the disc profile, you're losing less deals, right?
Yes. Right.
I love that.
Yep.
And besides the disc profile, what would you say when you're teaching a community and you're sharing that with others, and no matter what profession they're in, which system from the 7 levels would you say that they're most attracted to, that you see that they really grasp onto or like the most as a majority?
Well, that's for sure going to be the events. So no matter where they are in business, they all can have events, and that's getting to the top of the pyramid like you have behind you. I love your poster, by the way. And so we talk about that pyramid a lot because we're talking about how far up the pyramid can we get each time. And so I recently just had one of those free phone calls come into me for somebody who was in one of your other event masteries, and
callwithcoach.com, baby. Callwithcoach.com.
And I took that call yesterday.
Just gave everybody a free call. You know that?
Everybody should get a free call. Yeah.
Callwithcoach.com. You get a free call because you listen to this episode. Thank you for that, Laurie. And you might talk later.
Yeah. So. Well, so anyway, he called in and he was having a head explosion type thing, and I just listened, asked questions, and then boom, we worked it out, and it was in the pyramid. It was, how close can we get for your timeline? You're going on vacation. I get that, but it doesn't give you a reason to not do it. It just says you got to get it done before. So clarity
is power.
Clarity is power.
That's right. So let's talk about the stool, right? Yeah. So you've got a 3-legged stool and hopefully, right? So what if we have a 1-legged stool? What do you use that for? What would you use a 1-legged stool for? You could use it to wave it. You could use it as a weapon.
As a game.
You could hold it, but it's not going to stand on its own very well, right?
So then we talk about it stuttering too. And then
like
I'm a terrible artist, and I don't even fill them in yet, but we just draw a third one over here, or maybe there'll be one over here.
And what does the conversation look like when you just show them the one besides what you had said earlier? Are you labeling them?
Yeah. So then I go, business is here, and this is your business. And then we kind of always default to sphere of influence, your database, and how are we going to reach out and touch them. But these are going to get filled in based on who they are. These are where my questions are.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it with Tara.
All right.
So Tara, go to a new sheet.
Oh,
because I don't believe in that 4-legged stool. That just looked funny. So
yeah, and for those that are just listening, she basically just has a circle of the bottom, like the top of the stool that you sit on, and one leg as and so the circle of the stool is your business, and we're gonna go from there.
I'm such a good drawer that this is gonna work just fine.
I think it looks great.
Typically we're either on a Zoom or you're across the table from me.
Yep.
And I'm gonna just say, okay, so Tara, if you were inviting some people, like some people struggle to get their database, like how many should be in there, and we explain that 10% of your database more than likely is buying or selling or doing something in real estate, and your job is to get out to them, let them know that you're the credible one they should work with and that you can help them the best. So some people struggle, and I'll say, well, do you have a holiday list, a card list that you put together? Or if they give me a deer in the headlights, is there a graduation, a wedding, or even sadly a funeral that would be coming up that you know, if that happened, you'd have to contact people. Who would be those people? So finally, they'll admit that they have a sphere.
So let's do it with Tara, right?
Yeah, we'll just do it naturally.
Tara,
I'm your client.
Yeah. So Tara's got a sphere, right?
Yep. So of your sphere there, Tara, that's an I at the end. How many people would you be inviting to a graduation party or a wedding, or sadly a funeral if you had to? How many people do you think you have in your list?
I'd say, quality over quantity. A quality of about 75, and I'd say quality 75.
Okay, 75 people that you would be able to say, I can contact these folks and they'll answer, they'll respond, they'll know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And they probably love you too. They care about you. All right. And then beyond that, I might look for hobbies that you do. So then, what kind of hobbies do you do? Do you have any sports, any clubs that you're participating in?
I like bar class, and I like paddleboarding.
And what was the first one?
Bar class. It's like a workout.
Okay. So it's like a gym?
Fitness. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And stand-up paddling, like SUP?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We actually have that in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have those people are they part of your sphere of influence that you already told me about?
No, the ones at the gym class are more like hi bye, and there's one or two that I have their phone number. And the paddleboard, I don't know. They're not on my list.
Okay. So if you had to guess how many there would be there, how many would there be?
About 25.
All right. So we could add an additional 30 people within this hobby that you have, hobby or two. And then tell me what else you do with your free time. If you weren't working, if you didn't need money, what would you like to go do?
I love checking out new restaurants. And being in South Florida, there's definitely, I like the whole foodie aspect, checking out new venues.
Mm-hmm.
And other than that, I do like going to a lot of charity, like networking events or charity events with my mom. Because she's the vice mayor.
For those that aren't watching, Laurie is writing these things down underneath the stool and building this stool. The top is the business, and then each leg is actually like a personal interest of Tara, or a place that she hangs out. So it's really almost like they are hubs or spokes of a wheel, if you will.
Yeah.
So I like that.
So I would dig in further now about that charity, because I feel that and I explain this, when you attach what stirs your soul to the event, you're more likely to actually do the event. Mm-hmm. And so what would be your favorite charity that if you really had to pick one that you were going to back, what would that be?
Supporting my puppies and furry friends.
Yep. And I know you do that already. And I love it. And so you have a favorite charity fund that you would have in mind, or do you spread the love around within that?
No, I give back to the woman who saved all my puppies, and that's Feeling Fine Canine and Rescue.
Yeah, she did a great job. I followed that closely when that was happening. So Feeling Fine. Okay. And so what is it that you would like to do for her? Like, is there a certain dollar amount, or?
In a perfect world, I would like to raise funds for her to have the RV truck that she wants, because we have such an overload of dogs here. She actually now is taking the dogs here and driving them across country to other areas that have no dogs in the shelter, and they basically get adopted within 48 hours instead of sitting here. And I would love to raise the funds for her to be able to buy that RV.
And how would that make her feel? Can you picture how she would feel if you rolled up?
I think I could cry.
Yeah.
Like, I could literally getting teary-eyed. Like, I think she'd be elated because she dedicates her whole life to these dogs. I mean, she works on 100% profit. I mean, for donations. This is all she does.
And I know you've had the birthday party for your, with the puppies involved in the adoption. But if we took your foodie or your workout places, what we would do now is tie an event to that would then feed that RV fund. So that's where we would go next, is talk about what could you do for foodies. I mean, you could have, Tara Carter, you could have a great foodie event that people would show up and kind of participate in whatever it is that you're doing, because people follow you.
My event brain is going, oh my gosh, I just thought of like 3 different things. And there's this opening that's coming up. This thing's coming from Miami. I'm going on a morning sunrise walk with him tomorrow. I need to chat with him about this. I can totally incorporate this. So that's awesome.
How about a stand-up paddleboard event with the sunrise? So you get the idea. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Love it. Love it. Love it.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was awesome. And I loved how you tapped into the passions. Like, it's what you're saying is, you don't have to do anything unusual or that hurts to get business. What you're saying is there's business in what you're already doing if we communicate the right way.
We are enough. We're more than enough, just as we are, in the gifts that we bring.
Yeah. And
to transform that message into somebody, like to have them transform themselves with that message, that's where the beauty is.
Yeah, love it.
Amen.
I love it. Laurie, any final comments before we let you go? And while you're doing that, if you could tell people how to reach out to you so that you could speak or coach or teach where they are, how do they get a hold of you?
Laurie.Knudson@gmail.com. Do you want me to spell it out?
Sure.
LAURIE.Knudson is KNUDSON @gmail.com. I also have LaurieKnudsenCoaching.com. It's a website that shows plenty of the subjects that I talk on. And I'm very interested in growing my nationwide coaching. I love to do this online or within the phone line that we have with Referco.
I love it. I love it. And I have to say, from all the listeners of Referrals Podcast, thank you so much for being on today. So much wisdom. I love the example and the role play we did, because that hits home for so many more people. And thank you for being on today, Laurie. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys. It was fun.
You are
Absolutely.
awesome.
And Tara, my guest host, I have to give you a high five, right?
Bam.
Which way does it go? And boom. There we go. Yeah, that actually, oh my God. We totally got to cut that out. That was perfect. Yeah. Fist bump. All right.
There you go.
So Tara, thank you so much for guest co-hosting today. And your natural curiosity comes out so well. And I love, you were like a super participant on that role play. You went right into it and
so made me cry.
Truthfully. Oh, I know. That's what I'm saying. It just, it was, if there's nothing that the Referrals Podcast, it's nothing but real, right? We are real. This is the real us. And both of you were real. All three of us were real with the audience today. And that's a big part of this creating authentic transformation, just being our true authentic ourselves. We are enough, as Laurie said. And today we found out, there's business out there where we don't have to go do something crazy or do something that is painful for us or painful for our soul. The three of us, we cure calloused hearts. We are heart surgeons. We cure calloused hearts. People callous their heart to be in business or in sales. We smooth that out and just say, hey, listen, you don't have to callous your heart from rejection. You don't have to callous your heart from all those things you're protecting yourself from. Just you be you. You are enough. You are the gift. And today was a great example of that. So thank both of you for being on, and all the Referrals Podcast listeners and viewers out on YouTube. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having us. Thanks, Laurie.